Up+Adam.
Tractor systems are offline.
We are Beyond FM.
Beyond FM.
The future of broadcasting is here.
Up+Adam with Adam Montiel. It's community content from Concentrate. It's Up+Adam with Adam Montiel.
Some say life is where it begins. Straight to the stars is where it ends. Yes, some say life is just where it begins. Straight to the stars is where it ends. Only to start again.
Happy Friday. Thank you so much for being Up+Adam. My name is Adam Montiel. You did it. You made it to the weekend. Today is Friday. We're going to lift some spirits for the weekend and maybe help you get through something that's been sitting heavy all week. Who knows, maybe longer. Because sometimes the best conversations don't just hype you up, they heal something. Maybe you didn't even know needed healing. You ever sat at the foot of a mountain, and not the pretty kind, but the kind that shows up in your life as heartbreak, trauma, silence, shame, and wonder if you will ever make it out the other side? Our guest today didn't just face that mountain, he named it. He built a movement from it. Joshua Rosa is the nationally recognized speaker and soul-led storyteller behind Made for This Mountain, the podcast that helps people not just survive their pain, but literally climb through it. Whether he's talking about faith in the fire or the cost of being inspiring or what it means to break generational silence around mental health for men of color, Joshua doesn't flinch. He leads from scar tissue, not a pedestal. This conversation's great. It's perfect for the weekend. Hopefully it's perfectly placed for something going on in your life. This conversation's really about that quiet rebellion of healing. And it's coming up today on Up+Adam. Looking forward to it. Before that, though, I missed Robin to get her on in time for the episode. So we have first of all, the pet of the week already got adopted, Gatsby, a little beautiful little feline. So that's taken care of, check done. But Wiggle Waggle, the Wiggle Waggle, I almost called it Walkathon because they used to do a whole walk with it downtown. Now it's out at Woods Humane Society at their campus right there off Kansas. Wiggle Waggle Fall Festival. And look at all the things they got going on. From you got that, first of all, you go there, they got a ton of food, they got a ton of vendors, which is so fun. They got this little area that's cordoned off, and there's just a pile of brand new stuffed animals, a big pile. And your dog's allowed to go in there alone, just romp in it, jump in the middle of it if they can, and then pick one out and take one out. It's pretty cool. That is my favorite part of Wiggle Waggle. I hope it's Georgie's, but he always seems to get something fun out of it. The kids' costume contest, the little dog, big dog costume contest, 2 peas in a pod costume contest. That one's always fun. Prize giveaway drawings, Santa pictures. Get your pictures with your dog taken with Santa. It's a lot of fun. It goes from 12 to 3, not your whole afternoon. Check out Wiggle Waggle Fall Festival. It's at the campus of the Woods Humane Society on Oklahoma. We'll put the links into the show notes and would love to see you out there. The date for Wiggle Waggle, Saturday, October 25th. That's next Saturday, not this Saturday. We will see you out there. All right. I have another quick little nugget on dogs. Have you ever thought about a dog? And this is obviously Woods is the place to start, but a study out of the University of Brighton looked at the ways having a dog can positively impact your life. Now, if you have a dog, you already know these things, and you probably know there's a lot more than just the 4 I'm going to give you. Even though the study focused specifically on dogs, a lot of these can apply to pets in general, but dogs, for sure. Number 1, structure and routine. Dogs love their patterns, like getting up in the morning to feed them, walk them, take them potty, stuff that you might otherwise let slide if your dog wasn't depending on them. Great for structure and routine. Number 2, companionship. Obviously, yes. Having a dog by your side can ward off feelings of loneliness. And some people even use their pets as sounding boards or to spill secrets they don't trust anyone else with. Number 3, mood boost. Yeah, dogs keep good secrets. Mood boosts. A lot of dog owners say they feel joy from just interacting with their dog. Some say they get happier just by looking at their dog, thinking of their dog. It is a dopamine flood. It doesn't even have to be doing anything. I say it, the dog, he or she, the dog, doesn't have to be doing anything. And finally, connection. Dogs can help you connect with others, like on your daily walks at the dog park. It's an easy icebreaker. Dogs are a great way to connect with your fellow members of your community. So those just 4 reasons. But maybe the 5th reason is this intangible feeling in your soul that you just get. It's IYKYK, right? If you know, you know. So that study proving how dogs can positively impact your life. All right, first I want to show some love to my good friends at Life Elements. I really hope you do take a moment to check them out. Even just look them up online. Follow them on Instagram if you don't. Such great people. Most self-care tells you to slow down, take a beat, light a candle, maybe meditate. Life Elements says, cool, but let's actually fix what hurts also. This local Atascadero brand makes plant-based wellness that shows up when you need it most. Broad spectrum CBD, magnesium, calendula, arnica, essential oils, all blended into everything from bug sprays, relief sticks, bath bombs, healing balms, salves that work right away. You'll feel it. You'll literally feel it. If you stop by 7425 El Camino Real, Suite O, back right corner of that plaza in Atascadero, you can also meet Kurt and Martha. See what she's whipping up. Who knows? She might even hand you something and you walk out with something you didn't even know that you needed for nothing. She's always just whipping up. Hey, try that. Rub this on your elbow. Martha's the best. You can also shop their goods at The Hive in Arroyo Grande, the general store, downtown Paso, or shop lifeelements.com. When you do, use the promo code ADAM, ADAM, and you'll save 15% off your order. Real healing, real fast, from real people who care. Life Elements, please let them know you heard them on Up+Adam.
It's Up+Adam with Adam Montiel.
All right, my guest today isn't just a voice. He is a vibe, a national speaker, a storyteller, the creator of Made for This Mountain, a show that doesn't just help you face your struggles, it helps you climb through them. He's got a book out called Choosing to Do Wrong, Failing to Do Good. He's got nearly 1 million followers on socials who show up for his raw, faith-fueled messages. And he's got a story that might just shift the way you see your own. Welcome, Joshua Rosa. Thank you so much, man, for being Up+Adam.
Hey, Adam, thank you so much for having me. It's great.
This is going to be, I'm really excited to chat with you. And I got to say, I love your work, my man. Appreciate you.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate the support.
So you talk about like silencing the negative voices that keep us small. And the way you speak, it feels like you've made some peace with your own. But I imagine there was a time when that voice almost won. What did your inner critic used to sound like to you? And when did you first realize it was lying to you?
Yeah, so I think that we all live with that inner critic forever. That's not something that goes away. I think learning to address when those things are valuable and when those things are lies. I think that's always the hardest part of it, because we're so used to living in a culture that is negative. Like, we're so used to living in a culture that is demeaning towards ourselves. We could think we're not capable, we're comparing, we're doing all these other things that it hurts us. And we all have that person. The worst, again, you are your own biggest enemy. And I made a video recently about this, actually, where I was talking about that you shouldn't be your own biggest critic. You should be your own biggest advocate. You should be your own biggest cheerleader. Because at the end of the day, the only voice you hear is yours. So the thing you're going to struggle with consistently is being able to tell me that I'm capable of doing this, that I'm capable of growth, that I'm capable of making the thing. Too many people are in this hypercriticism of themselves. And that's what causes this like rift between their true self, with who they can be, who they want to be, and who they are right now.
Gosh, I loved that video you did about respecting your time. Like, if you don't value your time, how are you expecting others? And maybe sometimes you make that decision where, like, if they're not going to quite put the value of my time that I do, maybe I'm just going to say, this one, I'm going to sit it out.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's your life and it's fleeting. To quote Benjamin Franklin, the only thing you're guaranteed in this life is death and taxes. Right? So you choose where to invest those things, where you want to actually apply yourself and put yourself in. And the last thing we should ever want to do is put ourselves in positions where we're just going to hurt ourselves or devalue that time just to please other people.
We see the podcast, the following, the book, but every climber has a mountain that no one else sees, the one that doesn't get posted, right? What's a personal mountain that maybe you're still climbing, one that keeps you humble even now?
Yeah. So I think I've done a good job. It's not just because I have the podcast. I think I've done a very good job of being able to identify things and not letting those things identify me.
Yeah.
Like being able to say, hey, this is what's happening and I need to fix it. My biggest struggles, I think personally, have always been like romantic relationships. Not that I've had issues being in them, but issues not hurting people or not putting people down or not demeaning that. And that for me is kind of a harder one because I don't want to hurt anyone, or if the romantic partner I'm dating, but I never want to hurt anyone. But then I also have to learn to value and respect me. I think that's been my toughest in general, because it comes with a sense of wanting to keep people happy.
Yes.
Yeah, I think a lot of people struggle with that one. That's a very common mountain for a lot of us.
Yeah, your continent is filled with grit, but also grace, faith. And I imagine faith wasn't always, it's not always clean and polished or easy to hold on to. It's sometimes tough. And I'm curious, was there a moment where you kind of were like, oh, this is testing, and kind of what pulls you back from the edge?
Yeah, so there's not a person in this world that I'll ever be freed from trials. There's not a single person that's going to live life and not have that. And I think that realization is a big one for me. Like for me, again, faith is a huge thing for me. I believe in God, and I follow my faith. And for me, when I've been obedient in things that are difficult, I've seen beautiful outcomes. So I've been able to be in situations where I'm like, man, this is tough. This is hard to deal with. But then my obedience to what I believe has been able to get me through those things. And it's also helped me. And actually, I feel like this is where this whole premise comes from understanding that the only reason things change is because you don't let those things change you. Like you're able to identify who you actually are. And despite the situation, it doesn't dictate you. I think that for me, faith that's my component of it, but I think it's been effective in being able to reach people through these platforms because of that.
Yeah, we've all heard the episodes, and some will uplift and some will provoke and some really, really hit you. I'm curious, maybe the one subject or something that kind of like wrecked you, like which episode of Made for This Mountain almost kind of challenged you emotionally and made you stop maybe mid-record and go, oh, whoa, this is intense.
So honestly, and I'm not just saying it because we're promoting the podcast, but the next episode's coming out, 4 and 5, maybe the best body of work that I've ever done, because it really focuses on healing, and then it focuses on proactive healing. So in knowing that you have to be able to build there's resilience in you and actually challenge the things that are there. Because like for me, again, that's taking it back to what's of value and what's of worth, and then what is me causing more wounds on myself because I'm trying to preserve the wounds on others. That's always going to be a tough subject, no matter what. Like you can be the most healed and most perfectly polished person, but that's always going to be a tough subject because it's so delicate that you have to find the right balance. So I believe 4 and 5 that are coming up are some of my best episodes.
Yeah, it's so interesting because I forgot who I was talking to about this. It was some other psychologist, and we were talking about the idea, and I just informally called it trauma brain. When you have these past traumas or things, it could be as far back as childhood, it could be from several years ago, but whatever it is, and everything that comes your way now is kind of filtered through that lens because of what happened before. And it's very common, and it can be very debilitating depending on what a lot of people have went through. When you talk to folks who are making the decision, or maybe don't even know that they need to make that decision, to address some things, really deal with some things that happened in their past, because, oh my gosh, your future can be so much more clean.
Yeah, so that's actually called the Pygmalion effect. That's that we see life through a lens of the things that have happened and not so much through our personal understanding of it. So our perception of the world around us is based on our trauma, like you said, our trauma, the things that have happened to us or things that people have done to us, and then we perceive everything else through that lens. And the goal, even again, Made for This Mountain, that it is to challenge that. It's to see the way you see things. Is it through truth or through trauma? Is it through the things that you know that you're capable of, the things that you know are true, the challenges that you're capable of giving yourself, or is it just through the things that you're afraid of? And that's why people don't change. That's why people don't move forward. That's why lives don't become any different, because they are perceiving things through what's happened to them, through their fear and not through their reality.
When people, Joshua, call you inspiring, what do you wish that they understood about the cost of carrying that title, as a leader in this, right?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think a lot of people perceive people who are good at giving advice, who are good at speaking, who are good at these things, and they perceive that their life is perfect. And it is far, far, far from that. But the difference is that I'm very understanding of my lack of perfection, and it doesn't become it's not on a pedestal for me, right? I don't desire to be perfect. I just desire to be different, to change, to improve. And that's the goal of life. I think it's also, people don't realize how taxing this actually is, because this is a job at this point. So the full-time job, but it's so fruitful, because this is one of the few times I've ever seen in my life where I'm like, man, there's impact, there's change happening because of something I'm doing. So I think that yes, it's taxing and tiring, but it is fruitful, and that the people that you see that give advice, that are working with people, or walking with people, or just being present for people, are also people. So they're imperfect, but they're striving.
How do you kind of keep your content very soul-fed and not just scroll-fed, right? Like, we're not just trying to think of the next thing for the algorithm, but we're really trying to make sure that we're always being used as a tool. We're always using our talents for service, and really keeping that heart there. Yeah.
So I think I gave up a long time ago trying to do things that are just popular. I think that topics that are necessary, and it doesn't matter if the masses don't need it, as long as the one needs it, as long as the person that has to get to is that. And I think that's been the difference. I think that's what causes this different change between what I'm saying, what I'm doing, because I'm intentional about reaching that person, and I'm more concerned about that person than I am concerned about the numbers. And especially, honestly, and if we're being honest, social media is rough right now. Like, with the exception of TikTok, Instagram is doing a terrible job with pushing certain things. So if you are pushing because you want numbers, you're going to tire yourself out. There's no benefit to it. You're not actually serving yourself or anyone else. But if you are doing it because you want to reach the one, then the one, that's all you need. You just need the one. So I think that's been the difference between the content that I make and that I believe is fruitful and useful, opposed to the content other people might make because they want the views or the numbers.
Your whole brand, Joshua, is built around mountains, right? But sometimes we're handed climbs that we sure as shit didn't ask for. What's a mountain, or maybe is there a mountain in your life that you wouldn't have chosen, but now you wouldn't have traded? You won't trade for anything.
I think getting to this point of creating like social media stuff and being a podcast person and the media stuff that I do, and as a speaker and all those things, I think that I didn't realize how much work was involved in it, and just the production component of it. But honestly, it's very edifying to see the fruits of it. So it's like I say this in one of the episodes that a lot of people want things to happen without the work. Like, we want the podcast, or we want the social media reach, all these things, but we don't realize that it requires work. It requires a portion of us to be a part of that. And that's everything. That's healing, that's growth, all these things. It requires you to be a part of it. So a mountain in that aspect is that reality that there's a lot that goes behind this, and that I wasn't aware of, and that I wasn't ready for, but becoming ready within it, and seeing the fruit, and then seeing it reach, I think that's been the most awesome part. I'm still in it. I'm still figuring it out, but it's beautiful.
There's something radical about healing, especially for men, for men of color. The world doesn't always make space for that kind of softness. Yeah. So I'm curious, when did you realize that healing, it wasn't just personal, it's a little bit of rebellion in a way too? Yeah.
So I'm Dominican, so I come from a Dominican family, and Hispanic. We don't talk Hispanic culture. We don't talk about mental health or anything. We just say, go to work, vete a trabajar, fix it. You got it. And I think that's something very different. So I'm working through My Cultura, which is with iHeart, which is intended and with the Latino mix of first generation immigrant kids and stuff like that, like us, my generation. Our first generation here. And I think that's a big shift there, because this is not something that would have been spoken about years ago, much less is in the mainstream area. And specifically with men, right? Men suffer twice as much and mostly in silence when it comes to mental health. And I do think that it's because of how taboo that's always been, but even further, how there isn't male voices in that sphere, and let alone Latino and Black voices in that sphere, who are statistically actually even higher than the average Anglo man in terms of depression and anxiety and those things. So there's a whole factor there of things that it's just like, it's good to, representation matters. One of those things, like, it's good to see people like you that are struggling with things, that you're not struggling alone. That helps us realize that there is healing, that there is hope.
Yeah. You once said pain is the one language that we all speak, but it's also the one that most people, sometimes the language that people try and silence. I'm curious, what's something pain can teach us that peace never could? And are there wounds that we still can visit, and not because it hurts, but because it reminds us who we are?
Yeah. So I tell the story often too when I talk about healing. I talk about it in one of the episodes where I was in high school and I was a freshman and I was really good at baseball. Again, Dominican, for some reason, we're just all amazing.
Naturally.
I was born with a glove.
Right.
And I was dating. So I tell us, I don't know if I've told this whole part of the story, but I was dating a senior as a freshman. So, I felt like, I was like, big man over here on campus. But unfortunately, the coach saw her as a daughter. So I was the best player on the team by far. And then he chose to bench me because he found out about that relationship. Yeah, it was rough. And then where he decided he was going to play me for a game, and I was like, okay, I'm going to show off because, you benched me on the best player. He put me on second. I would either pitch or play short. Yeah. So I dove for a ball, and I landed on my arm, and I tore my labrum. So I couldn't throw anymore from that. That was like my favorite thing to do. I love baseball. I was the first one on the field, last one off, the whole thing. And now the one thing I love the most, I couldn't do because I responded out of anger. And I didn't go tell that I do therapy for it, and the therapy, it hurts so much to heal, but it would not have healed if there wasn't any pain. Like, I needed to go through the therapy for it. I equate that in the reality where pain requires us, or healing requires us to go through pain. Like, there has to be something that's being addressed that is broken or hurt in us. And sometimes the therapy hurts more than the wound itself, or the healing process hurts more than the wound itself. But being able to know that I have to go through this, and this is going to be the catalyst as to why I heal, changes that perspective. And we learn a lot through that, because again, if I had not responded in anger, I wouldn't have had that issue. Yeah. So we learn to change. I learned to mitigate that, to know that first, let me sit back and see if this anger is not just justified, but is it necessary? And then being able to address that. So I think that we learn about our healing process, or our pain, through the things that we've done.
Yeah. You touched on this a little while ago, and I love this about you. You're not leading from perfection by any stretch. You're kind of really leading from the scar tissue, and I feel that's powerful. I feel that's real. How can we use our mistakes that we use to hide? How do we turn those into some of the more powerful parts of our own little ministries, make them tools in a way?
Yeah. Yeah, because that's a huge thing to look at, because the reality is that we can only help people from places that we've been. So it's like I can guide you through things that I believe and things that I've perceived in other people, but I can help you even more in a place that I've already been in. So being able to understand that there's, again, pain in your purpose, that there's purpose in your pain, rather. Knowing that the thing that I've done, the thing that I've been through, it's not defining of who I am, but rather a roadmap that I can help other people not be in, but help other people heal from. Knowing that this thing isn't what defines me, but it's a thing that I use as a tool.
You pour out encouragement like it's infinite, like it's just growing everywhere. But we both know even the encourager runs low sometimes. And I'm curious, where do you go when you need to be poured into, and who encourages the one holding everyone else up sometimes?
Well, always prayer. I mean, faith is a big thing for me. So that's my first turning point for everything, always. And just being able to identify that. There's something called the big sister syndrome. Obviously, I'm not a big sister, but big brother. And in the big sister syndrome is the understanding that you had to fix everything, so you're the person everyone went to and you have no one else to go to. And I was sitting with that a couple months ago. And I'm sitting with that thought, and I'm like, yeah, that's real, because that's always been me. I am literally the big brother. I'm also the first one that spoke English between my family. So I was always like this bridge between two worlds. And being able to see that, I didn't have anyone else to go to. That was actually a mountain myself that I had to realize that sometimes it's okay to let people help you and be present for you. In the present life that I'm in, it's not exactly easy to find people in that because, I have a very small family now. We've had a bunch of like deaths and stuff and all these crazy things. So it definitely is something that it's harder to say, where else am I going to go to? But I also think it really just edifies the faith component for me because it allows me to be really centered in what God is for me and the words he has for me. And that's my source for everything else.
I hosted, or I guess I should say I officiated a memorial service for someone who was very well respected. A doctor, Justin Davis, was very well respected in his community. He was a friend. He was also my doctor. Over 1,300 people there. And I learned that legacy isn't something that we leave. It's really something that we live daily, breath by breath. What's the legacy that maybe you're trying to live out loud right now? And how do you let others know when they're living theirs and they're on the right track with it?
Yeah, so I that's a great way to look at that. It's something you live right now. It's the reality of the things you do, and I think this is it, right? What I'm doing right now is a part of that. It's being able to not just be present, but be effective. It's knowing that being able to be seen is one thing, and that's great, and people see you. But what do you do when people see you? It's not so much that you're just an image, but you're something. You're doing something productive. I think that growing in that for a lot of people, that's where that changes, is knowing that there's something around me that's impacted because I'm fully me, that I don't need to pretend, I don't need to strive, I don't need to do anything extra, I simply need to be. And that performance mindset, right, that a lot of people are still in, that they think that they need to be extra for those things, and you just simply need to be present.
How do you kind of, ripping the curtains back a little bit behind the scenes, how do you kind of prepare for maybe speaking engagements or certain things where you're supposed to kind of really be kind of like out there, and those can be tough. I've been doing radio for 25 years. When I do things, I get nervous before I'm doing public stuff. How do you kind of attack those?
Yeah, so I'm weird because I'm kind of introverted. I'm actually very extroverted on a stage. I'm phenomenal. I can, stage. I can control the room and the crowd. One-on-one, I'm a little awkward. It's like, do you like cheese? Like, I don't know what to say. Like, I just fall into that.
You say yes. You say yes, man. Shango, please.
It activates the same parts of the brain as other drugs. So yeah, right. That's the whole thing there. But no, I think being on stage is very natural for me, and like as a public speaker is very natural. I still still get nervous. But it's nice to be in a room full of people and being able to share a message. I think that for me, that's like what makes me so comfortable, is like I have something to say and I'm excited to say it. And I hope that it's empowering. So
let's hit some quick rapid fires before we wrap up. I have some for you. Mountain that you climbed that changed your life.
In Arizona, I fell down the side of a mountain, and it was an actual mountain, physical mountain. It fell down the side of a mountain. I drove around that I shouldn't have been there because it was forest fire, but I came to hike, and I fell down the side of it, and it just really was like, wow, life is short. Let me. I survived, obviously. It's not a ghost, but it definitely changed a lot of perspective for me.
But that is interesting that a mountain that saved you or changed you was literally a mountain. A quote you repeat to yourself, Joshua, on your hardest days.
I can, I must, I will.
I like that.
It's like a football quote, I think.
Most underrated spiritual discipline.
Ooh, that's a tough one. Most underrated, fasting. I don't think we fast enough.
Really?
Yeah. I don't fast enough. I need to do better at that. But that's a fact. Yeah, fasting changes things.
Look at me. I could probably benefit from a little of that too.
You and I both.
One song that feels like your life's anthem.
For some reason, Neon by John Mayer. The live version, though.
So good. I love that you said that. I had a musician in recently, and he was just plugging away on the acoustic, and he was, it's just like, it sounds like you have to have 6 fingers to play that song. So cool. If you did a documentary about your journey, what do you think the title would be?
If I did a documentary about my journey, I don't know, The Guy That Did.
Yeah.
That sounds cool. The Guy That Did.
Yeah. Is your mom around?
No, we lost her in 2021.
Yeah, I lost my mom in 2002. What do you think your mom would say right if she could see you right now?
Oh, she'd be ecstatic. My mom was like, the first time I traveled as a speaker, she was outside of the airport, and it was already on Facebook Live, like she was recording. So she would have been obnoxious about this.
Yeah. My mom worked at a Christian bookstore, and the first time that I was on the air and actually getting paid for it, I remember it was a Christian radio station. This was 20-something years ago, and I remember just like how incredibly proud she was. And I think about that and think about her all the time. So it's really, as I imagine for you, if you had a really good mom, in this journey of yours with living day to day without her, you must just think and reflect and smile upon her so much. Well, look, we got all the links to everything Joshua Rosa in the show notes, including the podcast. I can't thank you enough for your time, my man, all the great work you're doing, and it would really be a blessing to catch up with you again sometime.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This was a great conversation.
That means a lot, dude. Appreciate it, Joshua. Thanks for being Up and Adam.
Thank you. Take care.
Some say life's where it begins. Straight to the stars is where it ends. Only to start again.
All right, big thank yous to Joshua Rosa for joining us today, bringing his voice that's been helping so many find theirs. Check out his podcast, Made for This Mountain, iHeart, Spotify, Apple, of course, wherever you get your podcast. You can also grab his book, Choosing to Do Wrong, Failing to Do Good. It's on Amazon right now. I'll put links to that, his Insta, all that in them show notes. All right, don't forget Wiggle Waggle, the Fall Festival coming up October 25th, next Saturday. Don't forget, October in San Luis Obispo is anything but ordinary. It is Arttober. From live performances to public art, museums, and the always fun piano in the plaza, creativity is everywhere. All around you. Don't miss it. Find your Arttober adventure at slowcity.org/Arttober. All right, well, I hope you are gearing up for a great weekend. Looking forward to connecting next week. Thank you so much to Moonshiner Collective for original music on the show, local musicians. The song is called Start Again. Check them out wherever you stream your music or learn more, moonshinercollective.com. Also, thanks to our friends at Tamber Winery for not only their world-class wine, blessing this earth, but for their tasting room in the village of Rio Grande, where we can taste their beautiful wines, blessing this earth, and for the Tamber Lowbro Studios, where so many guests get to come in and see and smell the beautiful wines that they're making, and they get to come in like the coolest local little podcast studio around, especially when you consider what's surrounding it. Tamber Lowbro Studios, love you guys, and love you. Thank you so much for connecting here, making this maybe the first podcast of your day, maybe on the way home, on the way to work, wherever you choose to listen. It means a ton. Thank you for also rating, reviewing, subscribing to the show where you listen to it, sharing with a friend. All these things definitely help other folks find what we're doing here in the community. So thank you again. Till Monday, I'm Adam Montiel. I hope you have a great Friday and a wonderful weekend. Be safe, have fun, be good, and thank you for being Up and Adam.
Some say life's where it begins. Straight to the stars is where it ends. Only to start again. Let's start again. We'll start again. Let's start again.